Let me say this. I really do hope, and I really want to say that because as a nationalist and as somebody who cares for this country, I have taken this matter very seriously. I took liberty even to talk to DCI and ask him, how long do you think you need? It's fabricated, the country takes another direction.
So either way, they're going to be dire consequences.
Like for me, for example, you know, I've been middle ground.
Yes.
The way this goes, I'm not going to be middle ground anymore. Because this is it. There's no other signal that God is going to give this country. Because if people can sit down to plan murder, then when it comes to matters of life and death, can there be a middle ground? No. If people sit down to fabricate claims of murder, can there be a middle ground? No. So I'm very glad that this matter has been taken with the seriousness it deserves. Because whichever way it turns out that cabinet secretaries, no less, principal secretaries, the echelon of our leadership in this country can sit down to plan murder, then it is you side with evil or righteousness. Equally, if people can sit down to fabricate things which are going to be proven wrong and can be proven wrong, and if it's propaganda or fake news, and it's proven to be fake news, that again is a fight between evil and righteousness. And every other Kenyan, at the end of this investigation, will be called upon to take a side, either for evil or for righteousness.
For evil or for righteousness. Thank you. Thank you so much. And of course, we shall be delving deeper on that much later in the course of the program. But also, as Jacob Medio just streams in also, I can't be serving you tea.
And this is what we want to see again, Dibal, in this country, especially in government. Even in cabinet secretary, you do not need 5 people to make tea. So when we say we need to have civil service reform, it is to do exactly what you are doing.
Yes.
That you don't need to have someone to make me, to make me tea. We need to cut our civil service by half, if not by 3/4, in order to reduce the current expenditure.
Good one. Thank you. So you'll care for some coffee or some tea as well?
Coffee, please.
Coffee, right. Jacob, just come in, I can see you as I try and serve.
He's cheering me from...
Oh, he's cheering you on the sidelines there.
Washington.
Yeah?
Yes, bro.
So also the civil service right now, this is sending bugbears and fears as well.
But also Kenyans, honestly, I know you have to create jobs. But the other day I was with some John Buddy and some people in Europe, in France.
You want it white or the black coffee? Okay.
Yeah. Although I'm sure my milk farmers are watching. So no offense, but I'm a coffee man.
Okay.
You know.
The other day? You're saying the other day?
We were in France, and you find like in a restaurant where you have 10 people working in Kenya.
Yes.
You have only one person serving like almost the whole restaurant.
Yeah. But this is a breakfast show, so...
But you need to look at our productivity.
So, how many spoons?
No sugar.
No sugar?
Yes.
We'll take it a glad. Okay. Good stuff. Right, thank you so much. We shall continue with our panelists much later in the course of the program. I can see Wamatangi also is streaming in. Always running late, so today we'll kneel down, as always. But let's see the good, the bad, and the ugly in our dailies today. We begin with the Daily Nation. This is what is headlining the front page of the Daily Nation today. CS's and Ruto assassination plot mystery is a splash today. Munya, Kariuki, and Musheru deny accusations of meeting to plan DP's death. Munya, how can 40 people meeting in a public place plan a murder? That is a question he asks. This story continues on page 4 of the Daily Nation today. The accusations are here. A text message from an officer at the DCI asked cabinet secretaries to respond to claims that meetings were held to plot killing. The response, 3 cabinet secretaries who reported to DCI dismissed the allegations as falsehoods meant to tarnish their names. You can see their faces here spread on the front page of the Daily Nation today. This is Cabinet Secretaries Cecily Kariuki, Joe Musheru, and Peter Munya, with President's Delivery Unit Secretary Andrew Wakahiu and Energy PS Joseph Njoroge as they leave the Directorate of Criminal Investigations headquarters on Kiambu Road in Nairobi yesterday. And as I've mentioned, the story is tucked away on page 4 of the Daily Nation today. The flagger reads, Munya, Kariuki, and Musheru deny accusations of meeting to plan DP's death. There was someone by the DCI. All that is tucked away on page 4 of the Daily Nation today. MP's Parks case goes to Maraga is another story at the back page of the Daily Nation today. CJ asked to form a 3-judge bench to determine the matter. Also probed him on Ojwang in Migori. A road in Suna East constituency where judge's rural home is situated has put him at the center of controversy. Page 10 of the Daily Nation is where the story is tucked away. Let's see what the Standard is holding for us. And this is what you're waking up to this morning. Uhuru order on CS's over Ruto's claims is a splash today. And you can see also a related picture as well on the front page of the Standard, still holding that particular story that also is on the front page of the Daily Nation this morning. I want to show you also what we have on the front page of the Star and the People Daily. But we have here death threats following the president's instructions. More than 10 government officials, including cabinet secretaries from Mount Kenya region, yesterday appeared before the DCI for questioning on alleged plot to kill Deputy President. And this story continues on page 6 of the Standard this morning. Allow me also to show you briefly what we have on the front page of the People Daily. I'll try and just retrieve that quickly for you so that you can see what it's holding for us, and the Star as well. All that tucked away inside the Standard, the Star. That is the story of Deputy President William Ruto. But in the meantime, I can show you what we have on the front page of the Business Daily. And this is what you're waking up to on the front page of the Business Daily. CEOs of tax evading firms first travel ban is a splash today. Amendment to the law seeks to widen Kenya Revenue Authority's power to issue travel bans against top managers of firms involved in tax evasion disputes. And this is the face of the KRA Commissioner General James Mburu. CEOs and other top managers of tax evading companies could soon be banned from flying out of the country if the Kenya Revenue Authority gets new powers proposed in the Finance Bill 2019. Treasury Secretary Henry Rotich has proposed amendments to Section 45 of the Tax Procedures Act 2015. And you can follow that story also on page 4 of the Business Daily. Still on the front page of the Business Daily, we have also that particular standalone picture of the cabinet secretaries appearing before or when they were summoned at the DCI. That was yesterday. You can follow that story as well. That is on the front page of the Business Daily this morning. You can see the picture. Cabinet secretaries questioned. That is what we have as a sub-headline there. And of course, you know their faces. That is also inside the Business Daily this morning. Also, Kenya pays 22 billion shillings interest from Eurobond debt. Kenya made a total of 22.5 billion shillings in interest payments of the 5-year 76.4 billion shillings Eurobond tranche that matured yesterday, indicating that the steep cost that taxpayers have to shoulder to finance external commercial loans. The Treasury borrowed $2.75 billion in the debut Eurobond in 2014 in the tranche or in tranches of 5 years and 10 years. You can follow that story also on page 4 of the Business Daily this morning. Catholics in a standoff with Health Ministry over cancer. The Catholic Church, it says here, is locked in a standoff with the Ministry of Health over the planned rollout of a free cervical cancer vaccine for schoolgirls that is said to begin next month. Doctors who profess the Catholic faith have objected to the vaccination, which is to be administered on all schoolgirls aged 10 years and above. The girls are to receive 2 doses of the vaccine. You can follow that story on page 4. The Kenya Catholic Doctors Association argues that girls in this age group who are classified as a high-risk population are far too young to contract the human papillomavirus, which is one of the causes of cervical cancer. You can follow the story on page 4 of the Business Daily this morning. Let's continue and see also what we have on the ticker. KCB and NBK pick team to steer buyout is another story you want to follow. KCB and National Bank of Kenya Limited have appointed a transition team that will oversee the acquisition of 100% ordinary shares of a cash-strapped lender amid a September 2019 deadline set for conclusion of the buyout process. This story continues on page 7 of the Business Daily this morning. Also, today's digit is 1.3 billion shillings. Joe Wanjui, James Mugui stake in the UAP. That is their stake there, 1.3 billion shillings, Joe Wanjui and James Mugui's stake in, or the stakes in UAP. UAP seeks loans to pay off 2 billion shillings corporate bond. UAP Holdings is seeking a loan to pay off its 2 billion shillings corporate bond that is due for redemption next month. Now, this is what is on the front page of the People Daily. Puzzle of DP Ruto's assassination is a splash. Let me just zoom out for you to see clearly how it looks. Puzzle of DP Ruto's assassination. 3 cabinet secretaries, top state officials from Mount Kenya region summoned to DCI over allegations that have caused storm in Jubilee Party. And we have a bite here from Trade CS Peter Munya saying, quote unquote, there was no meeting to plan to assassinate DP Ruto. It is irresponsible, unfair, and intended to portray us in a very bad light. That is what we have on the front page of the People Daily this morning. Puzzle of DP Ruto's assassination claim as the splash this morning. I will show you also what we have on the front page of this other dailies. Well, that is the Citizen, and also, of course, also the Mwananchi in Tanzania. Taifa Leo is holding this splash. Nani, and it is asking a probing question. Nani amtaka Ruto kaburini? Nani amtaka Ruto kaburini? That is what we have on the front page of Taifa Leo today. It continues to say, mawaziri wakanusha kufanya mikutano ya kupanga kuua naibu rais ili kumzima asimrithi Rais Kenyatta 2022. That is what we have there on the front page of the Taifa Leo this morning. Matukio yako hapa. Kundi la wabunge la puuza madai. Mawaziri wafika DCI kuandikisha taarifa. Madai yatetemesha Jubilee. This story continues on page 2 of the Taifa Leo this morning. Also, Kuria asema Kiambu hawataki handisheki. Kuria asema Kiambu hawataki handisheki. And Kuria is here. He can tell us, Moses Kuria. This is what now Taifa Leo is telling us this morning. You were saying that Kiambu, you don't want handshake.
He was misquoted.
He was why are you misquoted? It says that mbunge wa Gatundu Kusini, Moses Kuria, sasa anadai kuwa wakazi wa kaunti ya Kiambu anakotoka Rais Uhuru Kenyatta hawataki lolote kuhusu handisheki na kiongozi wa ODM Raila Odinga. Unaweza jitetea ukikaa hapo, or you can come to this other side and agree with Taifa Leo. Which side do you choose?
Nafikiria nimenukuliwa visivyo.
I knew it. What does that mean?
Tell us.
Naendelea kwa hiyo lugha, lakini Chakoyo uko hapa, kwa hivyo
mimi sielewi. Tafsiri. Tafsiri.
Utaki handisheki tena?
No, I'm pro handshake, but I'm just saying that, on Sunday, I decided because people like Infotrack and Innovate stopped doing opinion polling. So I decided to do one publicly and for people to see. So I asked them a set of questions, and I was only giving the responses. You cannot say whether Tom Wolf likes handshake or not. I was only doing some opinion poll public.
But what was the intent
of a very large sample
the
size,
opinion poll?
Of 10,000 people.
What was the question?
The question was whether they want the handshake. And they said no. And I was only reporting with sadness.
So you turned out to be a reporter.
I was just doing a reporting job.
So this, you've been misquoted.
Yeah, no, I'm not being misquoted because that's what I said, because I thought it was important to share that publicly, so that even people who are pushing the handshake can change their game.
So they don't want handshake, and they don't want Raila for that matter as well.
Well, I asked them, do you have been sent with salam from Raila? They said, no, we don't want. He has sent me with the handshake. No, we don't want. It was very sad.
Right, Moses Kuria there for you. This is on the front page of Taifa Leo. You can follow the story on page 2 of Taifa Leo this morning. I want to show you also what we have on the front page of a Star. I'm struggling to get the soft copy, but this is how it looks today. Ruto asked Uhuru to probe assassination. That is what we have on the front page of a Star today. Investigation. Ministers confirm Lamada Hotel meetings, deny plans to kill DP Ruto. Mystery letter by unknown CS warned of plot to eliminate Deputy President. This story is tucked away on page 4 and 5 of a Star today. And also DP William Ruto and Makadara MP George Aladwa, they can be seen here arriving at Cairo. That is at Camp Toyoyo. That is not in Cairo, but at Camp Toyoyo to watch the Kenya versus Algeria match on Sunday. You can follow this story. I mean, not this story. I wanted to say this story. Effects of Sheng. Right, that is inside the Star this morning as well. Let's go over to the Citizen in Tanzania and see what it is holding for us. Government's grand plan on upcountry dry ports is a splash today. The government hints to dry ports located upcountry being used as final shipping destinations, making it possible for traders from neighboring countries to pick up their cargo from the nearest facility. This story continues on page 2 of the Citizen this morning. Also, Tanzania secures 60 billion shillings from China. Dar es Salaam, that is, Tanzania is set to get 60 million shillings for its development expenditure from China after the two countries signed an agreement for the unconditional grant. The agreement was signed in Beijing by Minister for Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation, that is Professor Palamagamba Mbamba Kabudi, and the Vice Chairman of China International Development Corporation. You can follow the story on page 2 of the Citizen. State pledges to prioritize aviation training is another story on page 2 of the Citizen in Tanzania. Let's move on and see what we have on the front page of the Mwananchi. Tuhuma za rushwa zatikisa bungeni. That is what we have as a splash here on the front page of Mwananchi, way down in Tanzania. And I want to show you also what we have on the front page of the New Times in Rwanda. This is what is happening in Rwanda. According to the New Times, RwandAir commences flights to Tel Aviv. The maiden direct flights of national carrier RwandAir from Kigali to Tel Aviv, Israel's economic and technology hub, took off on Monday night. Tel Aviv will be the airline's 29th destination overall and second in the Middle East after United Arab Emirates. Follow the story on page 4 of the New Times. If you're waking up in Rwanda, rhino conservation, a fitting natural home. And this is one of the 5 eastern black rhinos that were transported from Europe to Rwanda yesterday as its new home in Akagera National Park. The new arrivals are expected to help strengthen the entire genetics of rhino population in the park. And you can follow the story on page 2 also of the New Times in Rwanda. I want to show you the editorial cartoons that we have today. This is in the Daily Nation today. This is what Victor has drawn for us. 4 more years to go. My life is in danger. That is according to Victor in the Star this morning. We'll leave it for also our panelists to decipher that much later in the course of the program. And this is what we have also inside the People Daily, according to Stano. This is what he's drawn for us. Public Hospital's General Ward. That is how it looks. Washimiwa, I am sorry, there is no more medicine. What we go through every day. This is what the small cat is going, or is actually talking about. This is how all the depiction of how our public hospitals are looking, the General Ward. Those are your dailies. Also, let's see what Gado has drawn for us. And well, I'll try and show you that much later in the course of the program. But this is how the Daily Nation looks. If you've not grabbed a copy of the Daily Nation, please make sure you do. This morning, headlining this particular story of Deputy President William Ruto, which also is our top story this morning, where Deputy President William Ruto may have kicked off a new storm after he pledged to, he pledged a plot to assassinate him. 4 cabinet secretaries, a number of principal secretaries and chief administrative secretaries from the Mount Kenya region said to be at the center of this scheme answered summons to appear at the DCI to respond to these claims. The senior government officials, however, rubbished the allegations and accused the deputy president of an attempt to embarrass them. They say they will take appropriate action once investigations into the alleged plot are complete. NTV's Seth Olale starts off.
Cabinet Secretary for Trade Peter Munya, his ICT counterpart Joe Musheru, CS for Health Cecily Kariuki, and her transport counterpart James Macharia, flanked by other senior government officials, mostly drawn from the Mount Kenya region, were questioned about an alleged plot to assassinate Deputy President William Ruto.
But they have confirmed to us that the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya made a call and complained.
It is alleged that the senior government officials, mostly drawn from Mount Kenya and the Central Kenya region, held a meeting on 14th May at Lamada Hotel. Top on the agenda, it is alleged, was to put together the details of the Deputy President's assassination.
There is freedom of association and the freedom of expression. People are allowed to meet as long as they are not meeting to plan any criminal activities.
The Deputy President allegedly told the DCI that the plot was part of a wider scheme to lock him out of the 2022 Kenyatta succession.
I think it's irresponsible, unfair, and it intended to portray us in a very bad light so that we look like criminals who meet to plot criminal activities against him. And it's also intended to injure our reputation.
The leaders say the meetings addressed concerns about development in the region, but the allegations seem to relate to an unverified letter dated the 30th May 2019 and circulated on social media, purporting to have been written by a cabinet secretary whose name was redacted. The letter, titled Matters of Grave Concern, contains details of a meeting held on a Tuesday this year, supposedly attended by CSS Peter Munya, Cecily Kariuki, James Macharia and Joseph Musheru, with the agenda listed as to show up support for the president in Mount Kenya, a proposed referendum, and going on an offensive against the DP. Interestingly, the CSS named in letter, whose authenticity has not yet been verified, are the very ones summoned by the DCI. The said meeting was held on the 14th of May, a Tuesday, and a date that also appears on the letter. The CSS, however, did not record any statements since the Deputy President has not filed a formal complaint. Investigations over the assassination plot are being undertaken by the Serious Crimes Unit as well as the Cyber Crimes Unit under the Directorate of Criminal Investigations. Detectives will question all persons of interest before submitting a detailed report to the Director of Criminal Investigations, George Kinoti. Seth Olale, NTV at the DCI headquarters, Kiambu Road.
Now the divisions in the Jubilee Party are now nearing crisis levels, with the latest twist in the President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto souring relations. The appearance at the DCI of 3 cabinet secretaries over an alleged plot to assassinate the DP indicates that the rift could be growing wider and faster. But the bigger battle may be about the Kenyatta succession. And as NTV's Brenda Wanga reports, the center can no longer hold.
Do proper investigation, there are machineries to do that before making unsubstantiated and wild allegations of that nature. I think it's irresponsible.
Those allegations that have landed the 3 cabinet secretaries of the DCI, just the latest manifestations of the widening rift in the Jubilee Party-led government, and analysts say, whether authentic or not, this move could be a game changer.
But as we begin to see, it's getting ugly.
The last fortnight has seen an escalation of the tiff between supporters of the president and those of his deputy, who have gone into what is seen as an open defiance to the president's call to cease 2022 campaigns, so much that it forced the president to dress down leaders from his backyard.
Na no guthiururuka gwitu na ni ngwira andu mikore no tuthurite tureta siasa matigecirie nie ndi kihi kiao twaigua na matikundugamia barabara iria ndithondekeire iria ndirenda gukinya na kuria ndirenda gutwara andu aitu na kuria ndirenda kumakinyia.
While the deputy president has steered clear of openly pushing the succession agenda, his brigade hasn't shied away from the same, and they have not been taking any prisoners, cabinet secretaries and the Jubilee Party included.
Cabinet secretaries and permanent secretaries who have neglected their duties, and they are now concentrating on how to handle succession politics.
But in the presence of the president, the DP has been towing the now seemingly divided party line.
Kiongozi wa taifa letu la Kenya. Hawa watu wa hapa Wazingishu hawana kiongozi mwingine. Kiongozi ni wewe. Na tuko nyuma yako. Mbele na nyuma. Kulia na kushoto. Juu na chini. Milima na mabonde. Sisi tuko nyuma yako hapo.
On paper, that may be so, but analysts believe that the reverse is also true.
The game has reached a point where it is open. It is open, and I think there's no more pretext. I think people would now be saying the gloves are off.
The situation in the Jubilee House, further exacerbated by the handshake between the president and the opposition figure Raila Odinga, a handshake that Ruto's team believes is designed to shut him out of the race to the House on the Hill.
It's important for the president and indeed then the handshake duo to come clean. Let's know what the handshake is all about. If it is about 2020, let's be told.
Failure to address the underlying factors informing the continued crumbling of the party could be putting the president's planned legacy into jeopardy, especially since the feud has now found its way into the decision-making unit of the very government, the cabinet.
How will these cabinet secretaries sit in cabinet with their colleagues? How are they going to work together? Because there's need for synergy within cabinet, and there are meetings, some chaired by Super Minister Matiang'i, others chaired by the president in terms of the weekly cabinet meetings. How are these people going to work together?
The authenticity of the said letter is yet to be verified. Brenda Wanga, NTV.
Right, we want to head over to our panelists this morning and get to hear from them as well. If you joined us this early at 6 a.m., we began with Moses Kuria, who is a member of parliament for Gatundu South. Also do have with us Senator Aaron Cheriot, who is a senator for Kericho. We are joined also by Kimani Matangi, Senator for Kiambu, Boni Halwale, who is a former deputy chair of Ford Kenya. How do we title you nowadays?
Jubilee.
Raia.
Is Jubilee.
He's a commentator on topical issues.
And Jacob Medio. And Jacob Medio, who is a former member of parliament for GEM. Let's just continue with Aaron, or we begin with Aaron on that, for that matter. And why do you think there are senior government officials scheming to undermine Deputy President William Ruto over his 2022 presidential bid? Because this is what you said before we had this development yesterday. And you're sternly warning them that they will soon face the wrath of parliamentarians.
Well, Dibal, this is not an issue to joke around with, because it's a very serious issue. It's a grave concern for the country. Let me just, before even proceeding to give the details of maybe what I know, declare that Dibal, we have got to be careful as a country. Mm-hmm. We've got to be careful because Kenya has been sort of like an island of peace in a turbulent region, and the reason why we have been able to achieve that is that we have always restrained ourselves as a people. There are things that we have always confined to the boardrooms and left, we have always confined actually, or kept us, ourselves away from certain kind of discussions and that kind a thing. But it is now emerging that our modus operandi as a people is changing. Things that are absolutely immoral are now being considered vogue and fashionable, and that anybody who's willing to do them, you'll find a media that is willing to give you the platform to pursue that particular course and that kind of a things. I just want to warn that the experiment that is being carried by these civil servants who are doing this kind of things is so risky that if it goes wrong, then we may never be left with something called a country anymore. Therefore, they must be stopped dead on their tracks. I sincerely hope that DCI will close this matter as soon as possible so that the truth can be known about what happened actually on this evening about what you're discussing. And it is not an innocent. You know, I had my good friend Moses Kuria speak earlier before the rest of our colleagues came in and said that this is a decision moment, and his decision will be based on when the truth emerges. I want to tell Moses Kuria that I know that you know the Deputy President very well, and you are friends. And if of all the qualities of the Deputy President, Moses Kuria, I know you know that he is not a panicky person. He's not somebody who, when you're seated in a room and there is trouble, he would be all over trying to say, oh, let's try and solve this. In fact, to the contrary, he's always the kind of people that will tell you, no, relax, don't worry, this shall come to pass. But when it gets to this, and now, as details are emerging, that Cabinet Secretary Munya actually misled the country, and he lied, because what you are reading from the Star, what you are reading from the Standard, is that it is actually the president himself who called the DCI and said, I have had information about something that troubles me, and I want these cabinet secretaries to record the statement. Therefore, when CS Munya went there and tried to play politics, he should know that...
so how did he lie?
By saying that it is a deputy president that called a junior officer, a DCI. That's not the truth. The truth has come out in 2 leading newspapers. That's what the Star says. That is what the Standard says. Read the story about how the president gave that call, because, and it is right of the president, that when you hear that kind of information, then the only sensible thing to do is to give the state agencies that are granted the power to investigate these kind of things the authority to proceed. You know, and even without that confirmation, Dibal, let us test Munya's words using common sense, because Munya believes that we are fools, and therefore he can go on public television and spew the kind of lies that he's telling. I want to ask very simple questions, maybe perhaps 2 or 3. Number 1, Munya says, oh, we were meeting to discuss development. And the first question that comes to mind, all these are cabinet ministers. They have got very big boardrooms the size of football pitches. Some of them were even in local media having refurbished entire floors of the offices so that they can have proper meetings. What is this that is so secret about development in Mount Kenya that can only be discussed in basements of hotels? And when you go to the meeting, you have to leave your mobile phones in the cars, because that is exactly what they did. Number 2.
So you established also they were meeting at a basement?
Yes.
That is at
Lamada.
Lamada.
Number 2, if it is true, as he's trying to allege that this meeting was about development, is Munya now guiding? Is it the position now that Munya wants to tell us that the president has sanctioned ethnic balkanization of members of his cabinet to consider national issues? That the problems that were raised, for example, by my friend here, Moses Kuria, in Thika, in that famous address of his at Thika Stadium, that they can only be addressed by members of a cabinet from Mount Kenya region? That the problems they are facing can only be sorted by those members, and not just members of cabinet from Mount Kenya, those who are allied to a certain faction. Because why was, for example, CS Kiunjuri left out of this meeting? Is it because he's known to be a friend to the deputy president? Yet he leads a sector that is so critical to solving the challenges that are facing the electorate in Mount Kenya. Therefore, if you run the arguments of C.S. Munya against basic common sense, it will tell you that he's bluffing, he's lying, and there is more that Kenyans need to know about these particular meetings. It is really unfortunate that we have come to this, but you see, we have entertained this thing for too long. You know, it began with Murathe. Remember the kind of things Murathe was saying? And we sat here and we discussed and said it doesn't augur well for the country. It was picked up by Atwoli, who said that, don't worry, William Ruto will not be on the ballot. And I am on record, I asked, how do you intend to do this? Do you intend to use extra constitutional means? Because constitutionally, there's no way you can lock out somebody who's qualified to run for any particular office, be it from MCA all the way to the president. Now, before we know it, we began this, the kind of stories that were being pushed by the so-called Kieleweke group. So now, imagine, how did we get to this particular point? You know, I cannot reconcile my mind to how we got to this point. In the legislature, you have Kieleweke that is now led by a commander. You have in executive now also, you have this Kieleweke that is being led by C.S. Munya, whose obsession is nothing to do with development, nothing to do with fulfilling the promises that we made as a party to the electorate, but all to do with 2022 politics. It's really unfortunate. It is a new law. The only person who can save us out of all this trouble is none other than the president. Because at the end of the day, the final authority rests with him.
Right. Let's hear from Jakoya, and then we'll come to Moses Kuria and Kimani Matangi, and of course Boni Khalwale. But on this, we had Moses Kuria earlier saying that this, if it turns out that these fears are founded or they are unfounded, will be the turning point of the Kenyan politics. And he says, you know, right now I'm not taking my stand, but when we probe deeper and we get details, gritty details about this particular, of course, incident, then this will be my deciding point. I'll swing on both ways of the pendulum, depending on this, the outcome of this particular investigation.
Well, Dibal, I am not believing the story.
You're not believing the story?
I'm not believing the story. Because I know Cicely Karaoke, I know Munya, I know Musheru. I don't know them to be evil. And I also know that if you wanted to kill somebody, you would not have cabinet secretaries doing it. So in my view, I think it is William's way of trying to rejuvenate. He's trying to regain lost ground. And I said here many times, Dibal, that there will never be 2022 before we sort out 2017. And I don't think it's good to besmirch people, especially when you're talking about murder. Interestingly, we spoke about me crying in public that, Baba, these people want to kill you. So it's the senators.
So you've been there before, even you?
I've been there before.
Yeah. So was it true for you as well?
It was. The matter is live in court. And interestingly, the president is the witness number one in that case. And so the senator here, it's your time to cry. I wish I could see some tears from him.
From Aaron Cheriot.
Aaron Cheriot, my good senator. But I think we need to bring all of us onto the table. I don't think, I have said here before, that you will not have a bridge, it's called BBI, from Kiambu to Kisumu without going through Rift Valley. I said that before, and I'm going to repeat it again, because I think we need all of us on this table. I think things have been wrong in our country. I think we just need to sit down and talk. I want to disagree with Senator Cheriot that those issues which have been brought out by Atuoli or Murathe are wrong. I think they lead us to the table. They lead us to the table. I think we need to talk about our future as a country. And I don't think he will do it without William Ruto.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's hear from Boni Khalwale.
I'm so surprised that Jacoya Mitiwo and MP Kunjiri and Maoka Maore and others who have been quick to dismiss this as a hoax. Why they're doing it now? Surely you will not die from waiting. You can wait for the investigations to be concluded by the DCI, then we will take a position. For now, we should all be congratulating the president for having directed that the DCI expedites this matter. Because we know that this country has a history where some overzealous civil servants took matters of succession into their own hands, and the consequences were fatal. We all remember in the first succession of this country, Tom Mboya lost his life. Josiah Mwangi Kariuki lost his life. In the second succession tussle of this country, Dr. Robert Ouko lost his life. And some people say, I don't know whether it is true, I hear some people say, in the third succession of this country, Saitoti lost his life. So somebody to become irresponsible like Jacoya Mitiwo, to dismiss it without having any facts to back that dismissal is irresponsibility. Even if your appetite is to make sure that you manage to swing the succession in favor of your preferred candidate, that is not good for the country. My last point on this particular issue is common sense. Peter Munya and I have been around for a while in politics, and we know how government is done. Mm-hmm. Government is not run in the manner that Peter Munya wants to tell Kenyans. I want the youth to know that cabinet is run at sessions chaired by the president. And if the president chooses, he normally can designate that chairing to either the deputy president or somebody else. The other sittings of cabinet are done through subcommittees of cabinet. There are no subcommittees of cabinet that are regional. That Mount Kenya region to have its own cabinet subcommittee, the Coast region the same, the Western Kenya, there's no such a thing. So for him to tell people that Mount Kenya members of cabinet were sitting to articulate Mount Kenya agenda is to speak to something which is non-existent in the way government is run. Should it come to pass that yes, they were doing it under the blessings of the president, then the president will have made a mistake. He will have run our cabinet using by seeing it through tribal prisms, because the country is such that every region you go to, you get the tribes of Kenya. So if he were to send the people of Mount Kenya, he would be saying, we want the Gema community to have its own cabinet sitting. This would be extremely dangerous because there are other communities in this country, other regions in this country, which are completely not represented in cabinet. So it would therefore mean, if that we run cabinet based on regions and based on tribes, it would mean that some regions, some communities would never have their agenda discussed in cabinet. Right. Finally, I wanted to dawn on those civil servants that what is just disturbing them is power. And it is nothing new. We know that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. They are just absolutely corrupt. That's all.
They're absolutely corrupt. Let's say for the entry point of Kimani Matangi. Good morning.
Morning, Dibal.
I have my bell.
No,
But he hasn't talked.
Is that bell only intended to be rung when Wamatangi speaks?
Thank you, Wamatangi.
Thank you, Dibal. And ring the bell when I've finished.
Okay.
Not before.
Okay.
No, thank you. And let me say good morning to our viewers. And we are waking up to a big discussion, a very big debate. And let me first be clear that indeed this is no small matter. This is a big issue, a very big issue. It can't be wished away. It has got the potential and momentum to cause a lot of havoc in this country. It can distort things. Indeed, it can cause a major shift, major in many things. And when you're talking about an assassination plot against the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, and you have got individuals at the level of cabinet secretaries asked publicly to go and make a statement, that is not a small matter. It's not a small issue. It must be dealt with and should be dealt with at the level at which it has emerged. And indeed, let me start by saying two things quickly. First, Dibal, my take first with the way it is brought out to the public. It is wrong. It is completely incorrect, because when you make such allegations or such claims of that enormity, then people at responsible levels must speak out on it. It cannot be attributed to a junior officer at the DCI's office. It cannot neither be attributed to any other person. If this matter has come and the head of state is aware, then he would and should address it. If the Deputy President is aware, he should address it. Because you know what this does then is that it leaves the whole story cooking underneath with the potential of exploding. And this is where I come from. You see, Dibal, the two communities in quotes represented in this duo, in let me call it shadow boxing, if you like, for the moment, because it's not yet come out, is the Mount Kenya community, because all those members of parliament are from Mount Kenya community, and the Rift Valley community, where the DP comes from. And remember, the two communities in the year 2007 who had the worst in the bloodbath and chaos and deaths that occurred in this country are those two communities, majorly. That was where the conflict was. And so once you leave a matter like this, you make those claims, and they are left to that level, then you leave a serious issue incubating. Now, so what happens then when you leave it to the psyche of the people now to imagine? Is it true? Is it not true? Is the Mount Kenya community or Mount Kenya members of parliament plotting to assassinate the Deputy President, the son of the Rift Valley, who maybe largely would want to see him ascending to power? But let me make some statements of fact, which personally I think I know. One is on the question of has there been an issue in Mount Kenya region on whether the president himself has delivered or accorded or allotted enough development in that place. And I want to say factually that, Dibal, this is not the first time. Actually, in the first term of the president, when I personally was present in Sagana State Lodge, when the president was going around meeting communities, he did so in Rift Valley, he did in Eastern, then he came to Central Kenya, Mount Kenya region. That was one of the issues that was brought to him by leaders. And they said, we feel, before the elections of 2017, that we feel that you have not participated fully or given us a fair share of what development is before the elections. And then in subsequent meetings, that has been word that has gone around. And remember, even when Moses, who is here now, then spoke about it, in fact, Moses was speaking at a time when it had already even been said during his time, during this second term. And also don't forget that the president had a discussion with members of the Mount Kenya region when he came for a tour in the region in Nyeri. That was still the issue on the table. So has that matter been rife? Is it there in the public domain in Mount Kenya region? The answer is it is. It has been. It's true. People have been saying that. So have we been keen, or is there intent to deal with it? The answer is yes. Now, but when it comes now again to the discussions by the cabinet secretaries that they were having in their meeting, what first needs to come out is what agenda were they running? If it is the agenda of development, let it be out. Is there any other agenda? Let that be out. But this cannot be left incubating. Lastly, is on the question of where do the Mount Kenya region people stand on the presidency after 2022 of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. And we have been very clear first, and this is majority of the people of Mount Kenya region, that this period between now and 2021 is a time for us to run the country and develop the country.
Thank you.
And let me finish, Debal. And then after we have done that, we come to 2022. If I would be saying what the people of Mount Kenya region have on their lips, they would ask any candidate, and that would start with the deputy president who gets to run, is where does he intend or how does he intend to place and relate with the people of Mount Kenya region? We have been clear.
Thank you.
We will support him, but when we are supporting him, we first have to be clear is where is he placing us? We are saying loudly, we can only be number 2 if you are giving him number 1.
You can only be number 2 if you're giving him number 1.
Yes.
So
that's precisely what we're saying.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's leave it at that.
And that's the story. So that's why issues would start.
Thank you, Omatangi. Yes. Right, so we actually will probe that much later in the course of the program. But when we circle back as well, we've heard it very clearly also from the executive that, yes, we are cabinet secretaries. They're supposed to be apolitical, right? Because now if you're taking a political angle, this is what is bound to happen, right? That's why they were chosen as technocrats and not politicians in the first place. But now where is that, is that particular demarcation getting blurred? That we have cabinet secretaries also embroiling themselves in politics, and this is what is bound to really happen as well. When we circle back, we continue with more on this. We shall hear also from Moses Kuria as well. Don't go away. Hit us on Twitter. AM Live NTV is the Twitter handle. AM Live NTV, your profile name on Facebook, and 20686, our SMS portal. Welcome back to People and Politics here on AM Live. We are continuing with the conversation. When we circle back, we promised that we'll continue with Moses Kuria on this. Moses, I want just to hear from you as well, because we've heard also that some of his principal secretaries and the cabinet secretaries, most of them, especially the principal secretary from the Ministry of Interior, where we've had Aaron Cheriot also castigating some of them, saying some cabinet secretaries and principals are trying to play dirty tricks, which involve undermining and blocking DP Ruto from touring some parts of the country. We're telling any CSs or PSs who are going forward, we will dare to undermine him, that will censor them in Parliament. This is what some parliamentarians were saying as well. There's a big issue about the confidential votes, right? The confidential account that is being used, and some quarters of Jubilee Party are being sponsored by some of the principal secretaries or the principal secretary in the Ministry of Interior to undermine the deputy president. What is your take on this?
First of all, I want to seek your indulgence to get some clarification from Senator Cheriot.
Yes, please.
On how he knew that
this meeting was happening.
Kiunjuri was not there.
I'll tell you.
Maybe now.
You want to hear now?
No, after you finish.
No.
So that
he wants to know.
Okay.
Before you make your presentation.
Yes. If he was there, then he would have been among those who were summoned to record a statement. Common sense.
All right, you got your answer?
CS Macharia was not there, and I'm not sure that I know that CS Kiunjuri was not summoned. But I think this is also very telling. I think that Senator Cheriot would come here privy to information as to who was summoned and who was not summoned.
Here. It's in the newspapers, Moses.
And you saw clearly, even CS Macharia was not summoned. Anyway, I crossed that case here. But I think it is very telling. Now I start my presentation. Now, let me just do some disclosures. One, this whole meeting of Lamada, including the choice of Lamada Hotel, I am the one who initiated it. And Senator Matang is my witness.
You're the one who initiated this meeting?
Yes, because I was a coordinator on development matters for our region. And to solve our development matters, I had to pull together everybody. Senators, MPs, CSs, PSs, business people, who, this is the only meeting you know. There's so many countless meetings of business people, of professionals from our region that meet regularly about these issues. Am I saying that in that particular meeting, that they didn't discuss these matters that have been alleged? I cannot tell. Maybe, maybe not. I'm just trying to say there is two sides of the argument. One side which I know, because even that basement, I am the one who paid for it for the first meeting. And that was in November, way before I spoke in Dika about these particular issues. Because I believe that it's our legitimate right as a region to sit down and resolve our issues. Because these are not Moses Kuria issues or Kimani Matang issues. These are fires coming from the ground. And it would be irresponsible if we do not create a mechanism for solving these issues. Much so the same way that I know that Senator Cheriot and the Rift Valley professionals, CSs, PSs, politicians meet at Weston or in Karen. It's the same thing. I am sure that Jacob Midio is a member of one group or the other, who, if not doing anything, is looking at how they can make Luo Nyanza a better place. And the same thing with my Omunyambu friend here, So this is a Kenya. If we have got strong regions, if we have got strong pillars, you know, if you have got a strong coast, a strong Western, a strong Luo Nyanza, a strong Rift Valley, a strong Mount Kenya, the sum total, the whole, that is the Kenya as an entity is going to be strong. There is nothing wrong with that. And do not say that this minister is only coming in a partisan or ethnic manner, because before he became minister, he was a professional. Mashari was my workmate at Standard Chartered Bank. How does he now just become, simply because he's occupying a cabinet docket, that the people of Kigumo in Molanga, where he come from, that he is detached from them? I have been on record even attacking some Mount Kenya CSS for being removed from the realities of our people. I have been on record saying we need to have ministers coming from parliament so that we can be sensitive to the needs of the people. So when I see ministers do something, because look at me, I have gone on record saying there is no development in our region. And CSs are in that particular government which is supposed to execute that, and PSs. It is only right and fair that we do something. So let us really please, let's not mix matters. If you're talking about matters of life and death, whether it's coming from a street kid or a cabinet secretary, murder is wrong. So I'm getting that argument from the CSs, and I know very well, I don't even need to get the argument.
Right.
Because I am the author of that script. On the other hand, and I do agree with the Secretary because I know William Ruto as a responsible citizen of this country, as a Kenyan. But who am I? Between people who says we are meeting for development and somebody who is alleging they are meeting to plot murder. That's why I say let us believe in one thing. We believe in the investigative authorities are going to give us the truth. Once they give us the truth, it is a turning point for this country. Because how can I associate myself with a government whose cabinet secretaries and PSs are meeting to plot murder?
But Moses,
or how can I associate my conscience with the people who sit down to plan propaganda about murder allegations? You know, there are two dire situations, and I think, as I said before, it is going to be a crossroad between evil and righteousness. You cannot seek to retain power or to block people at all costs, even at the cost of killing people. You cannot seek power by all means, including falsifying facts and planning propaganda. So some of us are going to stand for this country, away from these two arguments. And we are waiting, we are eagerly waiting. But my advice to us, especially politicians, and more so for Jubilee, please, let us talk about this country. Not about ourselves. And I want to say this about my friend William Ruto, who is really my friend. I want to advise him through Omunyambi and Senator Cheriot here, yeah, and maybe even directly. Avoid people who are encouraging you to develop a personality cult around yourself. Personality cult ends up in distraction. And because I have seen a lot of cheerleading in this process, I don't want to see part of it. Although of late I've heard during the prayer breakfast, he mentioned I 17 times. At a Corino event in Kasarani, where the president was there, it stopped becoming about this country. It was about where you, Mr. President, has taken me. This first person singular are early signs. They are early symptoms of a personality cult. The kind of thing Akina Jacoy used to do to Baba. And see now where Baba is. Baba is injured. I used to say, tell Jacob, avoid these people also who come and cheerleading. Honestly speaking, Kenya is bigger than us. It's not about I, me, myself, personally, what. Stop these symptoms of personality cult. We have seen where these kind of things are taken this country. It is just 10, 12 years since this country went to war about some of these things. So sometimes restraint and push back and say, look here, time will come for all that. For right now, me and you, all of us, let us sing Kenya and have the personality cult around Mother Kenya.
Moses, why haven't you then recorded a statement with this year? If you're the one who constituted this meeting, and of course you're privy to what was the agenda, and they are actually saying...
I considered the meetings, the whole set of meetings, and I'm ready, by the way. I'm ready. I think, Dibal, anytime I can record a statement, yeah, I can record. And I think I will record. Because it's my civic duty to help. But I don't seem to be taking sides in this matter. Because this matter so dire and so grave that I would rather just sit back, wait for, if Kinoti wants my statement, he can call me. Yeah, but I would rather be completely hands-off and neutral about this matter. All I'm saying is I'm not taking sides as to whether the meeting was discussing assassinations. I am saying do not delegitimize people meeting about development, because we are going to meet. In fact, I'm thinking of moving from Lamada to my private office. All these people. I will call them. I will invite them. I invited them for the first one. There's nothing wrong with it that I can climb on top of Mount Kenya and defend this, because we have a right. We have a legitimate right, like all other regions, and our rights do not remove the rights of other regions.
Thank you.
And even when I spoke in Dika, even members of from Mount Kenya, they attacked me.
Okay.
But after that, people went down to do the right things, and we are seeing a lot of change happening.
Right, let's say from Aaron Chirot, because now it seems that sort of you've really crossed the Rubicon as far as Jubilee is concerned, because either way, the way this will turn out, if these fears are not founded, still there will be a rift within Jubilee as it is right now. If they are founded, serious allegations as well, what does it portend then for Jubilee Party? And for you as well, who's always been saying that the people who are actually plotting to undermine the Deputy President, that also we should seek maybe to frustrate these people in Parliament. We should have a confidential vote bill brought to the floor of the House on how they're using these monies as well.
Well, Dibal, you know, it's very interesting listening to the comments from the rest of my panelists, because you get to see things from their perspective. But some of the things they say, I choose not to engage them because it's their perspective of things. Therefore, sometimes it's just a reality of life. Not everybody has got to agree with you. But there are certain things that do not sit down well with me. For example, Jakoyo, and to a certain extent also, because I hear what Moses Kuria is saying, he's neither here nor there on this particular issue. Says he wants to be at the middle ground, which is fine and his choice. But I'm just struggling to understand what wrong has William Ruto committed in all this saga. Because I hear Jakoyo castigate him and say, oh, these are false things, and you know, just the same way the Kieleweke group were doing in Parliament. If Dibal today, I get information that there was a meeting somewhere, and part of the things that were discussed, because actually this is what happened, and this is what we've been made to read, that in the course of this meeting, somebody is alleged to have made remarks alluding to the fact that, after all, this person shouldn't bother us too much. We can deal with him the way we've dealt with others like Saitoti before. And the people who are in that particular meeting are the ones who gave out that information and said, hey, there's a problem here. I was in a particular meeting and something was said which I couldn't sit down well with my conscience. And as a right-thinking Kenyan and somebody who cares about this country, I think you need to raise this with the authorities. The deputy president approaches, because that's what the newspapers are telling us this morning, that he approached his boss, who is none other than President Uhuru Kenyatta, and said there was this particular meeting and the following remarks were made. The president does the right thing, which is actually, when you hear such grave concerns about members of your cabinet who meet, and part of the things that were discussed are things to do with eliminating your deputy, you direct the right government agencies to carry out investigations on the issues. So far with me, I am still struggling to reconcile what, you know, if it was in Jakoyo, you know, you can't compare this situation with that one of yours. The one of yours, of Jacob, the one to eliminate you, was in a funeral. This one has been reported to DCI. There's a world of a difference. If you hear what, and you know, I saw CS Munya trying to argue and say it is irresponsible of the deputy president to have raised these issues with his boss. Where else did Munya expect the deputy president to go when you stumble upon this kind of information? That's the one bit that I do not understand in all this argument. If he has raised them with his boss, who has called the DCI and said, please investigate this issue, what crime has he committed? That is the one thing. But you know for a fact, Dibal, that we have been raising these issues week in, week out, in every of our public meeting, that the problem in our country is that people are doing immoral things, but in the media, in public spaces, we are just allowing it to pass as if it is okay. It cannot be okay when PS Karanja Kibicho calls county commissioners and tell them, please demobilize for that meeting that the deputy president of the same government where he serves, a man whose contribution to the formation of this government is never in question. There is nobody, unless a visitor into Kenya, who does not know the contribution William Ruto made for this government to be in place. When a PS sits and calls county commissioners in that government, haven't you played clips here of what the MP said in Turkana, what they said in Kisii, what they said in Nyeri a few weeks ago, that county commissioners are being told, please stay away from that meeting. In fact, the last 2 or 3 weeks, Dibal, I have castigated IG Mutiambai, but on this particular one, I want to congratulate him, because when they were withdrawing, you remember that story that we discussed here 2 or 3 weeks ago, when they withdrew the county commissioners, at least the police remained, and they refused to follow those orders because they are illegal. Don't you know, for example, that today, if you want to get a job, a director or anything in government, all you need to do is stand on a podium and insult William Ruto. How do we allow these things to be normal? When you allow silly, immoral things to become normal and modus operandi, you can no longer have a country.
But it's been going back and forth from not just him alone being insulted as well. Even him is, hurling insults also maybe to the other side of the divide as well.
My friend,
yeah,
you have got to separate political barb from insults. Okay? Those are two different things. And, you know, I and Jakoyo,
We don't read from the same political script. We come and say things that sometimes.
So how will you characterize hao ni waganga na wachawi?
You know,
is that a political verb or an insult? What will that be?
Just listen.
Okay.
Okay? Jacoyo and I, we may choose to call each other anything. I can call Jacoyo ugly, he can call me a monkey, you know, in our political characterization. But it becomes a whole set of problem when civil servants who are supposed to be apolitical, who are supposed to serve all Kenyans, begin to drive a tribal narrative. If it is at the level of us politicians engaging, there is absolutely nothing wrong with it.
Thank you very much.
But when civil servants begin to do it, my friend, the country is headed in the wrong direction.
We've had reports that also Deputy President somewhat also confronted Kibicho regarding this matter you're talking about, him being frustrated that some of his plans to continue with developments on the ground are being frustrated by the Ministry of Interior. Could the Deputy President also be acting out of a confirmation bias? That is a bugbears and fears that yes, there is a plot truly, because this is really happening. So this saga as we're having is a confirmation bias.
You don't have to doubt it. I know it. I sit in Parliament. I have my colleagues who will sit in Parliament and they tell you, I have been called by this PS who has told me, by the way, if you want us to put for you a national school, please stop supporting William Ruto.
Okay.
How can that be normal?
Okay, let's say from Giacomo Medio.
Well, relax, my brother, relax. Nobody would want to support murder. Nobody would want to support a plot to murder our deputy president. You know, regardless of what you think, he's our deputy president. Regardless, he is the one in the office, and it would be so wrong for us to sit here and support anything that ugly. I want to assure you, but I must ask, I mean, can cabinet ministers murder? Can Cicely Kariuki plot to murder? You know, sometimes we must defend, because the state has institutions that can do those things. And let me say this. You know, I have said here before, and I'm saying it now, that Jubilee is not one house. Jubilee was a house founded on this issue of The Hague. They have nothing in common. Uhuru and Ruto have nothing in common. You know, even it doesn't matter how much we pretend. They have nothing in common. And I can tell you, my young brother, that when the campaigns kick, and those issues that Moses Kuria is talking about of 207 are raised, because we shall raise them, you will know that you are sitting in a very divided house. We shall raise them. We shall raise them, even if they are not publicized. We shall raise them. I'm just shocked, because now you are putting the papers, which you have been here every Tuesday, besmirching. You have said the nation is a liar, the nation is doing this, they are not doing the right thing. Today you are quoting them as authority, that they have given reasons. I mean, thank you so much for coming to our side for this issue of freedom of the media. You know, the nation which you have hit so much, the Standard, the Star, you have hit them so much every Tuesday morning. Today, because they are giving reasons for some alleged murder plot, today you're actually looking good, my brother. Just relax, relax.
Let's hear from Boni.
Okay, hear from Boni.
Boni.
I think before I make my contribution,
yes,
let me dismiss the allegation by Jacoyo that the commonality between the deputy president and the president is only hinged on the ICC. Don't forget that their relationship dates back as far back as 2001, when they came together and actually faced the combined strength of NAC, when Uhuru and Ruto were together trying to make Uhuru president, and we were opposing him. So you are wrong on that one. The second point I want to contribute is that this matter is so serious that we would like to urge the DCI to cast the net wider, so as we want to hear that Murade is being investigated. He has been very vocal on this issue. 2, we would like Atuoli to be investigated. He has clearly stated that he knows that DP will not be on the ballot paper. And 3, we would like Tuju to be investigated. Some of us want to know whether the video that has gone viral depicting former MP Nyanja discussing a plot with Tuju. I'm not surprised that even Jakoyo has just alluded to it now, that they will be coming up with matters concerning the post-election violence of 2008 when they will be going full throttle in politics. My third point is to my brother Munyambi Kuria. Please, leaders of Central, be careful. When you say that you are meeting to discuss the fact that you have been denied development as people of Central Province by this government, what do you want the rest of the Kenyans to sit and discuss? Don't you know that in your own county, Kiambu, there is an ongoing Jubilee project of 80 kilometers of road passing through Juja, Katundu South, Katundu North? Kuria, don't you know that there is Thika level 5 hospital that costs 760 million? Do you know that there is Kiambu level 4 hospital that costs 380 million in Kiambu? And don't you people of Mount Kenya know that when you go to Murang'a, there is the Kangema Kajarage Road, 35 kilometers that cost 4.1 billion? Don't you know that there is Murang'a level 5 hospital?
Are they sending a text or a WhatsApp message? What are you doing?
From the government project website. You have it. Open it now. I'm just bringing it to the public. Don't you know, on that website, I'm on that website now, that you've got Murang'a level 5 hospital, 430 million, Murang'a level 4 hospital, 380 million. You leaders of Mount Kenya, don't you know that in Nyandarua, you have Olicho Orok, Dundori Road, 35 kilometers, worth 1.9 billion. Engineer level 4 hospital, worth 380 million. I'm just about to finish. Don't you know that in Nyeri, we have the Madaidi Road that is 50.8 kilometers, costing 2.1 billion, and that you got Mukurweni water project costing 720 million. And then finally in Kirinyaga, don't you know that you have got the Kirukoya, Kiarida, Kangita, Baricho, Jegas Road that is 50 kilometers and which has cost 4 billion shillings? So when you sit and say that you want to discuss that you have been denied projects, what do you want the people of Western Kenya, the people of the Nyanza region, the people of Coast Province, do you want them to sit to arm themselves to come and attack you? You got to be careful. So that if you're talking about eating, you are at the level of eating Putin. You have already eaten the full meal, as we are yet to start the first course. So take it easy. Take it easy. And this is why, let me tell you, this is why some of us, we are facing the cameras in Kenya and saying, let us swing the presidency from the Mount Kenya region so that it goes to the lower rift. The other time it was in the upper rift, Baringo, comes to the lower rift so that it is easier for it to arrive in the western region. We will not apologize for it. We will support Ruto because he has the capacity.
Because he will swing from
relax. He has the capacity to swing that particular imbalance
from this
not only relax
from the selfish Mount Kenya.
Yes, not only from the Mount Kenya region, but also from the dynasties, so that the hustlers of the Republic of Kenya can also be sitting
only
and
in the south rift and in the western.
Relax.
Okay.
I have not finished. If
No,
you
no,
cut
no.
me-
You've gone
if
through
you cut me, I have not
a
had
whole
the bell.
list. No,
I didn't hear the bell.
Okay, the bell is here. This bell is also for Boni Halwale, so at least we can take some solace. Kimano Matangi.
Did you ring because I asked for it?
You know, Dibal, I think we can safely advise Boni Halwale to do the reading in his house once before he comes for the show.
But the people don't know.
Update your records, but also don't be don't be not only selective but myopic in looking at it, because if you're looking at the website, then open the website in total. Don't put / Mount Kenya. Put development record of Jubilee in the Republic of Kenya. And if you want to get a bigger picture and closer home to where you are, Halwale, put / Kakamega. Then you will see what is happening. And you could start by the fact that right now, the dueling of the Kisumu-Kakamega road is just about complete.
No, it's complete actually.
Yes.
It's complete.
So you cannot start to paint a picture. You may as well remind yourself that even in the backdrop of those projects that you are reading, the first point of call for the president was in your sugar factories there, from Mumias and every other of those areas. That's what you should start by reading. So, you see, I'm saying that to you because you're bringing the wrong impression. And the wrong impression you're trying to create here is that Jubilee is supposed to be running, or it has supposedly been running, a selective agenda of developing this country.
And is it not my website?
No. Boni Halwale, you spoke when we were in silence. or as though you're casting an impression here, as though the residents of Mount Kenya region do not have a right to voice what their concerns are. And those concerns have been voiced by the people. Indeed, the point you miss is this, and anybody who would be talking about it, is that it is the people who have said that. They feel that way. So how do you react as the leaders? You address it. How do you address it? Highlight. Once you highlight, then if there are pending ones, implement. The agenda for Jubilee and the record was stated in Kasarani when the president and the deputy president took oath. It was in a manifesto. That manifesto was for the Republic of Kenya. So please put aside that narrative. It's not helpful for the country.
Close the website.
Now, Dibal, I just wanted to say two things. It's Halwale who distracted me. Dibal, since the time when I started in this panel, way back, you remember, throughout from 2013 onwards, I have been a supporter and a firm pillar of the vision of Jubilee as a party. I've been elected on that party twice. Now, this is my 7th year. But I'll say this with clarity of mind, that Dibal, if things go the way they are going, if we continue the narrative that we're having, this could be the beginning of the end. I will tell you, for Jubilee. If I've been asking myself sometimes when I see some of these things, who has prompted us in Jubilee to press the self-destruct button? Because nobody outside Jubilee is keen on destroying the party or our vision other than ourselves. And this is probably the saddest thing. But remember what I said last week, and I would repeat it, that no one stands to benefit at all at any one time if at this time the party goes down the NASA way. Neither the legacy of the president or even the party itself and all those elected on it, they wouldn't win. Neither the ones who want to probably then run the show after that, including the deputy president, they wouldn't benefit because it will be on the basis of failed promises, one upon the other. And so, if there is anything that we have to do to this party, it is to make sure that we have lived true to what we said. Now, lastly, and then this is why I want to base my comments, Dibal. So give me a minute. You see, I said something when we started talking about this, and what I said is really serious debate, because and why I said this could be the beginning of the end. You see, a party is not its leaders; it is the people who are on the ground. And you see, we collapsed 20 parties, almost 20, in 2017 to form Jubilee. the main parties that form the Jubilee is URP, which then was dominantly within that region, and TNA. If we allow to run a narrative that those two communities, and you know how our politics works. If you go and say that Wamatangi is up for assassination by Cheruiyot, then that becomes a community's thing. They'll be saying Cheruiyot and his community in the Rift Valley are plotting to assassinate our son Wamatangi from the Mount Kenya region. And this is the narrative that I'm saying is a master stroke for killing Jubilee potentially, unless we are careful. Because if we let that story then incubate, what people will be asking, and for the record, William Ruto is a very popular man right now. He's popular in the Rift Valley, he's popular in central Kenya and other places because he's the deputy president. He's been moving around. He's part of the legacy of Jubilee. So once you have floated that kind of talk, then you leave it to incubate in the minds of the people who are the owners of the vision of their party. And so when then that boils and it will eventually burst, you will have the communities who are the main stakeholders now looking at it and looking against each other. So what I'm saying finally is this, Dibal, that whoever plotted this, and I have a lot of questions, and especially the media, and I would ask Dibal, the media to play its role in this matter. Why would we be having in such a major allegation a reference to a mystery letter by a mystery CS who is talking about, I mean, for goodness sake, about a plot to murder the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, and then that letter is premised on a mystery CS? It cannot be. You know, in the first place, then what would have happened is that nothing of this would have been brought out until it is settled. Once it is settled, and we know that there is an issue to deal with, then that is when it would have been out. Do the people of Mount Kenya region have a right to ask the questions they're asking? And then, if it is on that basis, would the CSs meet to discuss, probably look at the possibilities of dealing with the issues and the lamentations of people as far as development is concerned? The answer is yes. And there is nothing I want to correct from Bonnie Harwal, and also to correct Senator Cheruiyot. A meeting of CSs, for example, because they come from that region, does not amount to tribalism. If not to meet to discuss about questions that are raised by the people of where they come from.
Thank you, Matangi. So, Aaron Cheruiyot, for that matter, because also you've heard Moses Kuria saying you also have been holding meetings at Western Hotel, isn't it? Yeah? And of course, it has been with some of the cabinet secretaries also from your region as well. Hasn't that happened before?
Never.
It's never happened?
Never. We have meetings...
You know, now we can't really confirm that because we've never been privy to these meetings.
I want to correct my brother Moses, and Moses is my friend. He knows one of the things I don't do is lie. I can tell you, and you know, I was in Parliament last time and in Parliament this time. We have never had a meeting where we have only cabinet secretaries from our community. We have our caucus meeting as members of Parliament from that region. We have our other meetings with professionals and the kind of thing which Moses was raising, which is perfectly normal. But to have a meeting of us, members of Parliament, the professionals, and cabinet secretaries only from our region, never. Because Moses, help me understand, and maybe when you respond, you can help us, how the problems that the people of Kericho face can be solved by government as a whole, not only by ministries that are headed by people from our region alone. So if we have issues, like how we normally go about it, is that we draft all our issues and we raise them with the presidency. That is the president and his deputy. And we say our people want the following. You know, if it's a particular road, a particular factory, and we hand it over to them. And we expect they'll run it. This one goes to this cabinet and that's how we work.
Moses.
You know, no one is going to determine to Mount Kenya who meets to discuss our issues. No one. And they do not meet as cabinet secretaries or PSs. We collect the best of our brains. And these people do not get to cabinet because they don't have brains. They go to cabinet because they are some of the best brains we have in this country, especially from our community. So the composition, the venue, the timing of how we meet, the number of caucuses, the stature, the job description of those people are not going to be determined by anyone. No one has a right of saying who is there and who is not there. And I think some issues are coming out here clearly, especially from Boni Khalwale. That the whole essence, I just came to learn that for the first time. I think you are cleverer than me, because I've been in Jubilee for a long time, but you've come to discover things which I've never discovered for all the time I've been in Jubilee. I have to. My brother. Yeah?
Why do you want to believe this? Right?
No, I want to submit.
He's about to hit me.
I want to submit to better brains than mine from Boni Khalwale. For him to come and know within the short time he has been in Jubilee that a William Ruto presidency is about tilting from Mount Kenya to the southern rift or away from the upper rift.
We were coming to that.
And for the farasi ifungwe ndio punda catch up, as we were hearing from Moi's time. So we are back there again.
Let me quote him. Let him quote what he says. He says that that Ruto is the best bet for the Luhya nation. In fact, this is what he was saying for the Luhya nation. In my estimation, Ruto is our best bet because we have previously and severally backed the Odinga horse without success. This is the horse you're talking about.
No, I'm just saying, during Moi's time,
yes,
when Moi took over, he said that Kikuyus were ahead.
Yes.
And it is time for someone to hold the horse so that also the punda can catch up. And that's exactly what Boni is saying here. And by the way, let me tell you something. If someone was to advise William Ruto, he would tell him, let us discuss more of what Boni is saying. What is your vision for this country? Don't tell me why you are the best person, what you did, you helped Jubilee to get into power. Don't give us about the plan. Give us about the dream. Martin Luther King did not scream, I have a plan. He said, I have a dream. And so therefore, the black movement followed him on the basis not of his plan, but of his dream. Give us your dream and tell us, is your dream the same dream as Boni Khalwale of holding back Mount Kenya so that, other regions can progress? Because the minute we turn this conversation as to what all of us, including me, Moses Kuria, as a candidate, means for this country, away from what did I do yesterday, nilitukana Jacoyo Midio, I helped this and that. No, that is completely immaterial. What matters is, can people articulate their vision for this country? So that I cannot be able to reconcile the vision I've had here from Boni Khalwale, the genius Boni Khalwale, who has known that this is about tilting development from Mount Kenya into other regions, and the easiest route for power to get into Western is not through Mount Kenya but through South Rift. Very, very revealing indeed. But let me say this: coming to Jacoyo and my friend Senator Cheruiyot, and I have no right to lecture Jacoyo, but I campaigned for Senator Cheruiyot when he came for the first time. So, like those people who are claiming credits, even me, uniangalia vizuri because nilikufanyia campaign. Just like the way, if you have to be believing, history is a wonderful lesson to learn.
Yes,
but a terrible bed to sleep in. We cannot sleep in the bed of history. Yeah, that's a fact. But I'm really waiting for that moment when people who are in ODM together in 2007 are going to tell us how they plan to kill us. Because Jacoyo says they are going to reveal about 2007 from what the side which Alon Cheruiyot supports. So maybe it's going to be some popcorn moment for some of us when they tell us, oh, tuliwatuma mukafanya na nyinyi mukafanya. So please, truth may take 100 years, but it will come out eventually. And finally, to my friend Omnyam, let me tell you something, that our people are crying. The people of Mount Kenya are crying because they have got produce in their farms. Go to Nyandarua. You don't have more than 2 rows in a food basket of this country. I have been to Boni Khalwale's place. Boni Khalwale can leave Nairobi to his house without everywhere it's tarmac from Nairobi to his house. Prove me wrong. Yeah? From here to Kayega, straight. Straight. Without, that is the kind of development I'm talking about, Luckily for me, I've gone through this country, everywhere in this country, so hakuna pahali unaweza kuniambia. And I know Nyandarua people, they feed us with water from Sasumua. There's no water. We are digging boreholes in Nyandarua County. Muranga, there's no water. Today in your house, you took a shower with Muranga water. There's no water in Muranga. Coffee has collapsed. Tea is in shambles. our business people, the environment for doing business is wrong. So when we cry, it's not in vain or in jest or just because we want to be. These are real issues coming, and you know it's really painful and really an insult to tell us that with all these seemingly insurmountable issues coming from our region, that we don't have right to sit down and combine our brain and pay back to society which took us to school.
Thank you. Thank you, Moses Kuria. We have Ken Amadi here. He's saying, Dibal, ask these people one day, they as government, what is their mission? And this is what Moses Kuria is alluding to. Vision, motto, and core values for this country. We're tired of this silly politics. This is one of our frustrated viewers, Ken Amadi, asking this. And of course, this is why we're discussing the future of Kenya politics, where we headed to as far as the Kenyan politics is concerned. Could this be the zenith and the apex of and the turning point for the politics of this country, how this will pan out? Because if we have the stabilizing figures, which is the executive, the stabilizing figure of the president and the deputy president now are not seeing eye to eye as it is right now, what does it portend also for, you know, the cohesion of this country?
You know,
is it you or is Jacoyo?
It's me. It's me then Jacoyo.
No, you went.
It is me then Jacoyo.
No, it was you then.
No,
it is
it was
Jacoyo.
him then.
It is Jacoyo.
It's
It is Jacoyo. It is. You've
It's
lost
me.
your
Let me
sequence.
help you. Let me be young.
Okay, I will give you a chance.
Okay. Okay.
You know the ball.
Ameiba vote.
Let me thank Moses Kuria for confessing that he campaigned for you, because we beat you in that election.
I didn't tell him we won the election.
No.
He keeps saying...
But he was losing. Then I appeared one day.
No, he's a senator.
Okay.
He's a senator. I know he's my brother. Now, Dibal, let me tell my Kikuyu brothers that Kikuyus are also Kenyans. They need development. What Bonnie was not telling you is that the first action I saw Jubilee government do was to give Mumias Sugar 3.1 billion shillings.
Of course, yes.
And it was, I think it was 3.3. It was ramped down. And I advised then that why can't you give the money to Equity so that people can go there with their invoices and they are paid? I was defeated. But the money was later stolen by the same people is now who are his buddies. The money was stolen. But I wanted to say something, my friend Ramatangi.
Yes.
So that you know, in this country, in 1975, J.M. Kariuki was killed. In 91, Ouko was murdered. There is Arguins Kodek, there is Saitoti, there is Udhiambo Mbai, there is all these things. And I can also tell you that Lambada or whatever hotel is not part of government offices. Where would government officials go and sit somewhere in a very public place to talk about issues of development? These are government officials who meet in cabinet. So that when an alarm is raised that William Ruto's life may be in danger, you must take it seriously. You must take it seriously because even if he wasn't the vice president or the deputy president, his life should matter for all of us. Like it matters when an American is killed, like it matters when an Israeli is killed, like it matters when a Briton is killed. So that we cannot trivialize somebody's life. If there is danger, if these people met and they wrote statements, I just said in the beginning that I'm not believing the story because I don't see how those many people can meet to try to kill somebody. But if it were true, somebody needs to be jettisoned. We need to do something about it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I would like to emphasize a point I raised and which my brother Moses might not have picked it very well. When I talked about the need for there to be a paradigm shift, not only in the management of power, but even who manages power. I did not mean that those ones who are today ahead of the pack should be held back. I was speaking to a constitutional principle. According to this constitution, we have the principles of governance, and Kuria, you have the constitution before you. If you go to page 27 of your constitution, Kuria, you will find Article 10. It clearly tells you that the national values and principles of governance include patriotism, national unity, sharing, and devolution of power. It speaks to, in the same article, for us to avoid discrimination and protect regions and communities from marginalization. And then finally, it concludes by the important word, inclusiveness. This is all we are saying. If we achieve this in Kenya, nobody will care whether the president is a Turkana or the president is a Meru. People will know that we are guided by the values of governance. That's all. You do that, you'll not have a big deal. My conclusion on this particular point is just to appeal to all Kenyans that let us all come out and reject any attempts by any individual using state power or a group of individuals to try and imagine that the only way to deal with a competitor is by assassinating them. We are learning from history, and we don't have to try it again, that it has been tried elsewhere, and the consequences were terrible. Can the Kenyans imagine if you woke up in the morning and switched on breaking news and saw that the deputy president of Kenya has been assassinated? Will the country move towards stability or otherwise?
Thank you.
I would like you to think about Rwanda. In Rwanda, the same joke started. And when the plane carrying Habyarimana exploded in the skies, that was the beginning of the genocide that we all would like never to have taken place in the continent of Africa.
Thank you. Aaron Cheriot, also as we prepare our headline thoughts.
You know, Debal, I have, but allow me to ask my good friend Moses one question, because he asked me also when he began his submissions. I just wanted to find out from him, Moses, because you're my friend and we are being sincere with each other. I know you're a presidential candidate. I'm just not sure of where. Do you want to be president of Kenya or Mount Kenya?
Can I answer now?
Yeah.
Take a chill pill, Rift Valley people. Take a chill pill. This country is not just about you. You know the kind of arrogance you guys are exhibiting nowadays. You've been there before. You are more arrogant. You are the professors of arrogance.
I asked him
you know, for you to attempt to box me now in Mount. I come from Mount Kenya, and I'm very proud of becoming from Mount Kenya.
Do you know why?
But for you to be able to draw the bound, is there a position called president of Mount Kenya? But you know, in your scheme of things, president of Kenya means William Ruto. Okay.
Not necessarily.
The rest of it is president of Western, president of Luo Nyanza. Take a chill pill. We were there before, my friend.
Relax, Moses. You should have said yes or no, or ask me why I would ask you such a question. It's because
you know, when I doubt your intelligence, I cannot even ask yes or no.
But you should have at least answered, because you cannot come.
But you are a senator.
Yes.
You are a senator who knows the constitution.
Yeah.
Na iko hapa. I can even ask Dibal to allow you to go away with it. And you know there is no position called president of Mount Kenya. And you come here on national television. I said, do you want to be president of Mount Kenya? Do you want to be president of Rift Valley or what? You know.
Why would you, Moses, then take the entire trouble? And I have listened to you. You raise very good issues. But 99 out of the 100 words you've spoken about are challenges only in Mount Kenya.
Because that's you guys who raised them. You said Mount Kenya CSS were meeting. Did I hear you say that Magoha and what's her name? Rachel Omamo and Tuju were meeting? So talk about that and you'll see my real credentials.
Okay, all right. Let me conclude. Yeah, conclude, please, because we are winding up.
No bad intention of my friend Moses, even though he got mad at me for asking that. But the thing that I wanted to say, majority of Kenyans, they think that matters to them most is not so much who will be president, whether they'll come from my community or not so. But they just want simple things to work. They want when they are unwell, when they go to hospital, they find that there's medicine, there's, they're able to be attended to. When they go to public schools, because I think all of us here on this panel, and being the youngest, I know this to be true, went through a public education system that works. Look at it, for example, Dibal. We've been here, our show is titled People and Politics. Yesterday, CS for Education, Magoa, made such a serious policy departure from the norm. Number one, by doing away with, what is it called, the preferential treatment they give to certain regions of the country. Is the quota system. That's what I was talking about. And also now introduced that there shall be national exams at class 3. Such a serious policy departure that we haven't spent even a single minute discussing about, but we just want to lose it. My final and closing thoughts will be as follows. As a country, and now let me speak for first.
Briefly, we're winding up.
As a member of parliament from Jubilee, and I agree with Kimani Wamatangi that as a party, we have sunk so low that perhaps you can only take solace in the fact that they say it is darkest before dawn. The only people who can get us out of this problem, there are only two. Our party leader, President Uhuru Kenyatta, his deputy, William Ruto. If I was to advise them, I'd ask them to have a sit-in and be honest and sincere with each other.
Right. Kimani Wamatangi,
yes,
yes.
Dibal, let me say to Jacob Midewo, he's right, that the last thing we want to see is another political assassination. That's correct. I mean, when you counted all those people. On that question of should cabinet secretaries meet in a hotel like Lamada, I mean, you can count the number of times you yourself, when you're in government, as the whip in National Assembly, have had meetings with committees and other members of parliament in hotels, even including abroad. I mean, when they're meeting, they're not running a cabinet agenda. In my view, it's my opportunity.
Just giving me
when they're meeting, I don't think they're meeting on a cabinet with a cabinet paper, on whatever. It is a meeting that's supposed to discuss maybe matters that concern them in the regions where they come from, and there's nothing wrong with that. And also to say quickly to Boni Halwale that in Article 10 of the Constitution, in those principles, none says that the exclusion of the many equals to fairness to the few. That it doesn't hold. Yes. So I mean, it is inclusion for all.
Thank you.
And when you're talking about the situation that was in Rwanda, that is exactly what I was saying. Supposing anything now happened to William Ruto with that kind of word in the air, then it would be disastrous.
No.
I didn't make my thought. I was just answering to them. My thoughts were this, Dibal, that we have to say to the DCI that he has to investigate this matter, close it, and bring to fore precisely what the conclusions are. But if it was somebody then who was scheming out there to throw a spanner in the works, then he's thrown it at the wrong time, in the wrong place.
Thank you. Moses Kuria, your headline thoughts.
I just want to subscribe to what Jacob has said, and this is not a joking matter. But let us leave it to investigative authorities. Because on one hand, you cannot ignore, personally, I receive death threats almost every other month. But I don't publicize them. I just tell the DCI, investigate this. Some of them, someone's tells me that I'm with Waitito here plotting to kill you. And then he's tracked somewhere in Nyamira. So they are all conmen and fraudsters who are in town. And we need to be very measured in how we look at it. But then on the other hand, Murungaru, former cabinet secretary Murungaru, Minister Murungaru, when he was accused of planning to kill Raila, he said, assassinations do not happen in such a pedestrian manner, to the extent that the rights of Gorsungu would be private to it.
Thank you.
I would just say, again, let us wait, but something is not adding up.
Thank you.
And to Boni Halwale, just 1 minute, to Boni Halwale, you talk about inclusiveness. That is why we are saying that let us relook at the Constitution so that we achieve some form of inclusiveness. But you cannot have your cake and eat it.
Thank you.
Here you talk about inclusiveness, but your side of politics does not look at the Constitution.
Thank you, Moses Kuria. Let's hear from Jacob. 30 seconds.
I have nothing left to say except Wamatangi.
Yes.
You Kikuyus, you must be very careful. We are watching you. We are watching you.
See how they get together when
the carelessness
our
with
cars.
which you talk
Thank you.
generally means Kikuyus are not Kenyans.
Let
us all sit down
exactly?
All right.
including all
Thank
of
you.
us.
No, please, please. We're strapped for time. Let's hear from Boni Khalwale. All right, Boni Khalwale, please.
I thought you
No,
made your-
Matangi, it's Boni.
All of them.
Boni Khalwale, please.
Yeah,
Why
I
not?
would like to conclude by telling the leaders who think they will force their thinking on Kenyans to know that they have gotten it wrong. The public also has its own mind. They might be poor, yes. You know, in Murang'a, Sabina Chege sent the greetings of one of the handshakers. The people refused. She also said that we are in the handshake. The people refused. She cried. Honorable Moses Kuria, he sent greetings of Baba in Ruiru over the weekend. The people refused.
I've warned you, I'm going to be listening to your Koinange Street girlfriends.
All right, we need to wind up.
Girlfriends from Koinange Street, get a better translator. Talk to Amatangi here.
So,
Thank
You are a
after
doctor.
that,
We need to wind up.
Honorable Moses Kuria cried.
Thank you so much. Moses cried as well.